I remember when I was 11, 12 years old and my confidence was slipping away. I felt like I was at the edge of a cliff and I was holding on to it for dear life, but I could feel myself slowly slipping. Like you know, the suspenseful part of the movie where the actor, whoever it is, you can feel their fingers slowly, slowly slipping, and then they just slip and fall. Like, ah! That's how I felt about my confidence level. It had been shot so many times. I wasn't doing well in school. I wasn't getting along with people. I just felt more and more isolated. I was becoming more and more awkward as I was getting older. And one of these fine weekends, we had a party, a very impromptu party, and it would happen all the time. It's one of the beautiful things of our family. We would have these random get-togethers, and all of a sudden, on a Saturday afternoon, the place is just packed with uncles, aunties, and just laughter and a lot of alcohol. Anyway, so as this one Saturday, as they were coming in, my auntie was asking me questions. You know, older people asking children those basic, how are you doing? What are you up to at school kind of thing. So I was telling her, I'm going to the next grade. And she told me something that stuck with me for a long time. She said, well, congratulations, because it only gets harder from here. It's downhill from here. It's not going to get any better. It only gets harder. And I know that she was saying that in jest, joking, you know, that kind of thing. But for me, at that time, that was what slipped. That's what helped my fingers slip from the part that I was desperately holding on to. And I slipped and fell into serious issues with self-esteem. A lot of self-doubt. It felt like I fell into the arms of darkness. And from that time, I knew that I was by myself. I didn't know who I could have been able to talk to. Does that even sound like English? I don't know who was available to talk to me at that time. Obviously, I couldn't talk to my parents. They had their stuff going on. And we didn't have that kind of relationship. You know, it's a parent-child relationship. We didn't have that friendship thing going on. And I wasn't going to talk to my sister at the time or my big brother at the time, you know. So I really was on my own. And I did not realize until much older just how detrimental that part was. Telling myself that it really is downhill from here. I'm not going to recover. I'm going to be a failure. Nothing is going to work out for me. And that stayed with me. And it became a pattern that I would repeat over and over. And the thing about repeating the same patterns, thought patterns and behaviors, is that the outside reality is going to reflect what's going on inside. So you see the evidence of all of these fears and doubts that you have. You know, I was failing school. I was isolated and I felt like there was something wrong with me. And I really just carried that with me. And I did not resolve it at all. I just carried it through my life. And naturally, when you are going through that kind of behavior, when you're expressing that kind of behavior all the time, how is it possible for you to have healthy relationships? How is it possible for you to have ventures and hobbies that you pour your heart into with confidence? You can't. So I was constantly sabotaging relationships, sabotaging, adventures that I had created, like when I was in my 20s and I became a sneaker artist, or in my 30s when I created this help self-help brand that I had created, which I was really proud of. But I did not have the confidence or the fuel to see those ventures through because I simply did not believe in myself. I did not have that fuel. I wasn't able to get myself where I wanted. And when I got to my when I got to the end of my 30s, that's why when I was 39 years old, I said, I have to stop what I'm doing because I don't know what is happening. I felt like I was just going through the motions. And I was going to go into my 40s. I was going to go into my 40s on autopilot. But I made the choice that I had to stop. I had to stop everything because I didn't feel like everything that I had done and I had created, or even the job that I had at that time, was from me. I had to figure out who I was. I felt like I did not have my own identity. Everything else was determining who I was, but me. And so that's why I quit my job when I was 39 years old. And I needed that time. That was back in 2019 and it's 2025 now. And now I feel like I have the courage to pick up where I left off because I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot to go into the trenches of my pain, go into the trenches of my past, and deal with a lot of guilt and a lot of shame, a lot of regrets, and reframing them in a way that made sense to me. Because I know that if I didn't do that, then somewhere along the line, maybe much, much later in life, who knows what would have happened? Who knows whether I would have ended up deliberately not being here because I did not have any love for myself. I needed to create that. I needed a new foundation. Because even when I was at my worst during those 5 years, when I was depressed and when I was deliberately sleep deprived and I was binge watching stuff and snacking at night and sleeping at 7 a.m. and waking up at 3 p.m. every day for weeks, for months, even for like 2 years straight. Even when I was doing that, there was no indication that I wanted to end my life, that I wanted to unalive myself. Obviously, those feelings came up, of course, but there was nothing that gave me any indication that this was going to be the end. So I thought to myself, if this is the case, if life isn't going to end for me, then I might as well create a life that not only makes sense for me, but I am genuinely proud of. And I had to get myself out of where I was. I had to learn to genuinely, truly love myself, especially at my worst. I had to learn to give myself compassion, kindness, grace, time. Because if I didn't, where in my life was I going to give myself that grace? And I'm not saying that this is what everybody else should do. I'm very, very privileged that even when I took this break, I have a family that loves me and supports me. But I needed to do this for myself. So, whatever you have to do to survive, whatever you have to do to give yourself that space and time and grace to figure yourself out, do it. Whether you have to isolate yourself, whether you have to break friendships up, whatever it is that you need to do, you are the most important person in your life. Nothing is going to happen without your presence. And I mean, as far as your life, nothing is going to go the way you want until you have the presence of mind, the self-respect, the reverence, and the ability to honor yourself to live this life truly, authentically, for yourself first. You're the one who is going to need to be present. So it doesn't matter how much time it takes for that to happen, for you to get yourself back on the road. You need to give yourself that time.